I don't see anybody else coming in. They'll just join us when they get here. So welcome. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is, like I said, this is a hybrid class, so we in person and online. For those of you online, if you have any questions, since I can't see the chat, I have a chat moderator, and just post into the chat your questions, and I will try to answer them and best I can. So my name is Trey, and my chat moderator is Priyanka. So we're here for you. So we'll jump into it. So tonight we're going to be providing an introduction to the Fold3 database, just learn some basic site navigation and kind of looking at what each of the sections has to offer. And real quickly, this seems like a lot of slides coming up, but it's not. Just a handful of slides of showing you some of the different pathways to get to our genealogy databases in Fold3 in particular. So there are several pathways. So you may have the library's catalog bookmarked on your device, and what you're looking for is this research and learn databases right down there in that bottom right-hand corner. It might appear a little different on your mobile devices, tablet or smartphone, but from a desktop or laptop, you would probably get this configuration of the screen. Or another option to finding, you may remember, and it's easy to find the city's website. Just remember plano.gov, and you select the library tab. That'll get you to the library's page. And this set of colored boxes here is well down the page. You'll just have to scroll down the page good ways, and then you'll find the research and learn right there. And you may also notice that there's a visit, and don't forget to go to the Genealogy Center under the Visit tab or button, and you'll open up the visit, and you just find the Genealogy Center, and that'll take you direct to the Genealogy Center, our whole host of resources that we have available. That'll include a lot of our great resources. It'll include the class calendar, links to previously recorded programs that we have, because we try to keep a good catalog of our previously recorded online classes, links to those and their handout information there, as well as the genealogy resources online. So there's basically many paths to get to the Fold3, and they ultimately go to the research and learn page, and you can just use that link to the genealogy and history right there on that left-hand column of options, or you could scroll down to the different categories there on the main page with the little blocks to the different sets of database resources. But you can just shortcut to this genealogy and history set of information. And then don't forget to explore the library's many genealogy and history databases that we have on that link. So that was pretty short and sweet. So jumping straight into the, I forgot to mention, when you do click on and access the Fold3 through the database list, you'll have to log in with it'll have a pop-up window for you to log in, authenticate with your library card number and your PIN. And your PIN, remember, is typically the last four of the phone number that's on your library account, but you'll be presented that window if you're logging in remotely from home or someplace. If you're logging into one of the computers here in the library, it'll just take you straight into Fold3. And I'll take you into the Fold3 Library Edition. Sorry, I kind of skipped over that. Did everybody follow me so far? So what's Fold3 and why the name? Well, Fold3 provides a growing collection of U.S. military records, including stories and photos, personal documents of the men and women who served from the Revolutionary War period onward. And the collection began in 1999 as iArchives, and that was a digitized collection of historical newspapers and archive materials from institutions across the United States. And iArchives at the beginning understood that there was value in creating an online repository of original source documents. So later in January of 2007, they launched footnote.com, and that had over 5 million original documents, and it was kind of like the go-to place for historical document research, especially as it pertained to the military records research. And in October of 2010, Ancestry.com purchased the iArchives, which did include the Footnote.com. And Footnote was rebranded as Fold3 in August of 2011. And that was their stated objective was becoming the premier website for military records. So why the name? Fold3 name derives from a flag folding ceremony where the third fold of the flag commemorates the servicemen, honor and remembrance of the veterans who served in the defense of their country. So kind of a cool reason. And you'll notice with this new page that they have here, if any of y'all have accessed Fold3 in the past, have you? No? So this looks a good bit different from the previous home pages. You have here, like I got circled, the United States, but you'll also see, which I can't read that screen. I can't read that screen either. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and United Kingdom. Each of those tabs there with the country logos, you will find records pertaining to those different country military records. So it's not just the United States. There's a few other foreign or allied countries records to be found, but we're going to just look at the United States records, and we'll start and we'll play around and go in a moment. I like to look at the War of 1812, but you could have the various categories, like I said, was from American Revolution through current. So in the war, if you click on that that collection there in the War of 1812, you go on to the page for that section, and you'll be presented with a basic page. Looks something like this. And for your benefit, because I can't show this, you can see my pointer. You can't see that online, but you've got 3 tabs at the top, which is an overview of publications and description. So on this page, it defaults to the overview. So you have a little brief historical overview, a little synopsis of the War of 1812. So if you had selected World War I, World War II, Revolutionary War, American Civil War, it would have a brief historical synopsis, little overview information for that conflict. It will have a little section with some continue reading. It'll have some featured publications pertinent to that collection. And also it will, in one of the tabs, that middle tab, the publications, it'll provide links to a lot of other publications that they're drawing information from. And you can just really go down the rabbit hole just browsing documents, and it's fascinating. And we'll look at that in a little bit in detail in a moment. The description tab, just as it says, it's going to go into a lot more detailed history. It's still an encyclopedia type entry for the conflict, but it goes a little bit beyond just this little brief historical sketch of the conflict. It gets into a little bit more detail of some facets of the conflict. But it's too very fascinating if you're not familiar with some of the things, to give you a broad topic. So that's kind of one of the segments in brief, but we're fixing to jump over here in the wild. And pardon me for just a moment as I swap screens here. Uh-oh, wrong. Let me duplicate there. Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. I lost the screen for a sec. I got to get back over here. All right. Maybe I should just make that another screen. Sorry. All right, that's going to make it challenging for me because I can't see it for some reason from this screen. Let me try something else. There. Get that out of the way. All right. Sorry about that. Best laid plans and all.
Hey Trey, we're still not seeing anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're just seeing your lovely speaking box.
Oh no. All right. Hold on. Let me share again. Every time I move stuff around, it oh, it's because I forgot to actually click share. My bad.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Best laid plans. Okay, we have a question. Yeah, let's park that for a moment and I'll come back to that. That's a good question. Because I haven't even gotten into to start about some of the information yet. That's a good question. Let me get to that in a moment. So we're here at the Fold3. We just hit access now. And voila. And because I'm in the library, that would automatically come up and bring you to Fold3, just like if you were on one of the public computers. If you were from home, again, that would have a pop-up prompting you for your library card and your PIN to access. So we're going to go to War of 1812 here. And again, you're seeing it's got the overview, the publications and description. I'm going to back up one. You could, if you wanted to, just jump in with this under this Discover Your Family's Military Past. You could plug in your name here and just go for broke and see everything. That's one research pathway, sure. Or if you're looking in more particularly, it's going to help you narrow down. See, the War of 1812 has over 36 million records here from the U.S. perspective. And I'm just going to, here in this search box here, I'm going to put in a Colvin name. Of course, you have options here. You could click on keywords, name, or place. I'm just going to let it ride and just do the broad search here. and you're going to come up with a number of things. So it's 382 results, which is not too many to wade through, but you can see here's service record index, bounty land warrant application index, lots of service record indexes, land bounty. Here's pension files. So you've got a number of different categories just browsing through this. But you notice on the left-hand side here, you've got a whole bunch of options. Let's see all. You've got a whole bunch of options, and it's offering you maybe War of 1812 was not what you intended, and you're thinking maybe it was later. You can add one of the other conflicts to your search here. All this is to refine or expand your searches. You can search through the title collection, and there are a good number, and it shows you from your search from the last name Colvin how many names hit, how many record counts are shown there. And look at there's from the United Kingdom side of the War of 1812, there looks to be one Colvin on that. How about that? Isn't that interesting? So you got a whole bunch of things. You can limit by place. You've got the publication name, publication type. And this is interesting. So you're looking military records. You're pulling a lot of stuff, pension records, service records. This is not a great example because it doesn't have one that I was going to talk about in a moment. So let me just go back home and let me do one of Cheryl's examples here. So down here in the publication type, if you were to limit, you can look at that. You've got a lot more. So it's got census records, draft records, muster rolls, pensions, war diaries, tons of things. And this collect all here at the top, non-military. So it's got military records, but you're wondering what's a non-military record? Well, right below it's one of the examples. That could be newspapers, it could be photographs, it could be journals. They're not the military records, they're the other stuff. Personal letters, journals, like I said, the newspapers, photographs, they could be maps, it could be the census records. That's just kind of a collect all of everything. It'll have within the non-military, the Native American records, the African American records, basically everything other than the military records, basically. So it's kind of yes and a little bit of everything. And then you have even more ways to kind of refine your search to branch of service. And that will be important. So you wouldn't click here looking for the U.S. Army Air Corps if you were searching in the War of 1812. Didn't have aviation. Well, maybe balloons, maybe. That technically is aviation, but not as we know it as the U.S. Army Air Corps. That wasn't until later. That's where that knowing a little bit of knowledge of history of some of those conflicts and where that description of the conflict plays a part. So let me go back up here in the top. An example of the broom. So as you're looking through here, you can see some things where you've got broom that's got somebody's name associated. So it's a Walter broom. That's a World War I pension ledger and index cards. But then here's a broom, corn, and broom supply. Well, you know that's not a person. That looks like that's through a city directory in Kansas City. So that's an advertisement for someone selling broom supplies. So yeah, that's if you're looking for someone named Broom, that's not going to be useful, but just to show some of the differences there. But if you go into one of these, I want to find one with a good number of images here. So let me find a good one. You see some photos here. Well, I just start at the top. Fine. So you open one of the records here. And you can be very good at handwriting because a lot of these, the older records are handwritten. If y'all can see, yeah, y'all can see fairly well from my screen here. You've got, if you can see the cursor here towards the center bottom of that scanned image, you see this little thing that looks like a little film strip just to the left of the left arrow. You can click that if you want to be able to minimize that film strip at the bottom to look at the artifact, a record, I guess I should say. And you can look around and kind of move it around. I am simply doing that by holding the left mouse button and just moving around to where I can get a good look at it. On this right-hand side, you've got a number of tools here where you can zoom in, and still you can kind of do that click and hold and move it around to get a better look at things. I don't remember what these did. What did that do? Oh, I don't see the point of that one. I'm sorry? Oh, this document is, what did it say? This is the World War I pension, out of the World War I, can't talk, pension ledgers and index cards, 1914 and 1923 for the UK, for the United Kingdom. So this is one of their pension cards, index cards. Archive location. I think, yes, this is their record for their, I'm not familiar with the United Kingdom's system, but it appears that this is someone who's filed, this is their index card for their pension file. And from this multiple stamps, and one's upside down there, April of 1927. So either the veteran or one of their relatives has filed. I guess, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know who can file with the United Kingdom. But in this right-hand set of things, you've also got where you can kind of play around if the record, this is a pretty clean record, clear scan. But if you needed to play around with contrast and brightness, you could to make something more legible. This appears it was scanned in color, so it's really, really good. You can see that it was 2 different color stamps. And so you've got some ways that go away, and then you've got some things to play around with that. And you can do the record before or after it with these arrows, or you can bring back that little film strip, is what I'm going to call it. And you can just kind of click on and go through, whoops. Let's see if I can get that highlight to go away. No, I don't know what I did. There we go. So that was I've lost the first card we were looking at. There we go. Let's see if this information will tell us. Oh, that just turns on and off the image info off to the side. So you've got multiple ways to play around with this to view. And let's look at a really cool one. I saw that one in green ink. Isn't that cool? Green ink. That's neat. Up here with the little wrench and hammer, the little settings, I guess I'm going to call it. You can download or you can print. So to click on download, looks like you can select just a portion of the document or the entire page. And I've just played around with this. Looks like you can only do it as a JPEG because it's a scanned image. And I don't know if y'all see that in my system tray at the bottom. It, yeah, it downloaded the image. So I got the image so I can use that as a reference for my research and stick it in my binder if I was researching this family member. So let I go back? Yeah. So correct. It's accessible from home without a fee. Just you go through the library's website. Yeah, and that's something I forgot to mention too. It is an ancestry.com owned product. You can go have an individual subscription to Fold3. Unfortunately, I don't know what other information you might get differently as far as the collection set. I think I'm going to go on a limb, and if I misstate, I apologize. But I think the information set's the same. The only difference is you're going to have some functionality as an individual subscription holder to where you can use some of the tools where you can annotate and contribute to we're going to be talking about the memory wall and some other things where you can contribute is that give and take kind of thing. Whereas with the Fold3 library edition, you're not going to be able to add it's static. Thank you. Yes, that's a good way of looking at it. You have the access to the things, but you're not going to be able to interact in a permanent. Yeah, no sharing. Exactly. So you can get this arrow that should take you back. Yes, take you back to the top. Let's find, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to clear this one because I know some of my old family stuff had some multiple pages of some stuff somewhere. Mm-hmm. Yep, and I'll do that. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll do that. In fact, I will do, what shall I do? I forgot I had a good name. Well, of course, if you do, you should have a gazillion. Okay, so a John Smith gets you 1.7 million results. That's a lot of stuff to wade through. And so if you're searching for something, a more common, ubiquitous name like that, yeah, you're going to have to use and narrow down to know some more specifics, like was there a middle name, some things like that. So yeah, because that's a lot of results. Now the search feature here is going to look a lot similar. It's just going to open up essentially looking like one search bar. You've got a lot of things you can go on and narrow down from the get-go, whereas that was just the main thing, and you just dumped it and said you didn't have any ways of filtering it down because they looked everything in the kitchen sink. Here with the search feature, you can go on and do that. Trying to remember. There was an interesting name. Do that just the Civil War records. See what that hit. Now, sometimes I just do the stab of a name. Oh, unfortunately, I haven't seen one like that. It's actually illegible. They scanned it. We'll look at it, but yeah, no amount of changing the contrast on this, and they scanned it in black and white. I don't think there's any hope. Oops, wrong way. Yeah, I don't think there's any hope of coaxing an image that's legible. Oops. Yeah. So you might run into that. Now, one of the earlier question. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that would just be simple of doing your name search. Let me get back up here to the top. So yeah, there we go. So you're looking at the Indian and Mexican American War records, I think is the right time frame. So you could do that search there looking. Now, a couple of things to note here with exploring these resources. The Confederate pension records, if you're looking at the American Civil War, the Confederate pension records, they're easy to find because they're housed in essentially one location. The Union records for the American Civil War are scattered all over the place. They're in multiple states, multiple counties. They're a lot of different places. Because of the Confederate records are pretty well documented and done and scanned. And in fact, let me go here to go back home. I'm going to go to browse. If you go to the browse next to the search, this is where you look and just browsing through an absolute ton of records. So I'm going to go to the Civil War Alabama. Here's the Civil War Service Index for Confederacy in Alabama. I meant to do the little information. If you click on the little I for the information for that record, you scroll down here. And so this is the Civil War Service Index for Confederacy for Alabama, and it's 100% complete. They've scanned it, they've indexed it. But you'll find if you're going to looking at the Union for Civil War, like the pensions index, we'll go to Alabama, and we'll do Maine. Oh, again, I forget, I can just go do the information. Oh, that's actually, I picked one that's 99% complete. Many of the ones that I was just kind of skimming, looking at the Civil War pensions for the Union, they're at like 20%, 19%. Let me go back. I know the widow's pension, I think, was the one that was, yeah. See, the widow's pension's only 21% complete. So it's only has 21% that's been scanned and indexed and all that fun stuff to make and get it online. It's accessible. So there's a big chunk of data missing out of that. They're still working through the Civil War records. So a lot of the service records, you'll see the index to service records. They only, well, they're still working on Civil War information. World War I through current conflicts, they don't have a lot of records available. A lot of the service records are just not available online. So you're going to have a better chance of finding something older than World War I. And there's just a lot of records and documents that just aren't publicly accessible yet. Kind of like the census in the 70-something years. Yeah, some of the military records that we haven't hit. You would think by World War I, we're 100-year point, or just over 100-year point, right? Oh yeah, 1918 Treaty, Versailles, 1919. Yeah, so we're past 100 years, but they just still laboring, working on the Civil War, and you would hope they would have some World War I records, but just nothing has come up yet. You can, not a full service record. You might, not parts of the service record, but you could find things like where their draft form, where they signed up for the draft. Yeah, yeah, you'll find draft form as an example. I can show. Let me see here. So, yeah, and that's what I'm getting to that in just a sec. I want to show something first. Oops. So, wrong person. Oh, maybe I should have just gone on and. Okay, so here's an enlistment record. Is that the right? Yeah. So here's an enlistment record. So you might find enlistment records and see, where they enlisted. It'll give their Army serial number. So that's handy to find because for World War I, World War II, especially World War II and up to current, you're going to have to go to the NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration, and you're going to have to apply and follow their procedures to request the records. I think they are back open. I forgot to look at their site. The last time I looked, a few months ago, they were open again. They had been closed during COVID for a couple of years. So they were essentially had a waiting list. They were doing, from the statement on their website, they were doing only emergency lookup. So families that needed a service record now for either medical treatment or something now that was of critical importance, they were prioritizing those families, and everything else had to wait. If you're just finding out, I wonder what my grandfather's, they might, that's not a priority for them. It's still going to be NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration. And I can pop over here at the end and look at that. So that you just have to follow what they state on their site for their requirements and their what am I trying to say? Their documentation requirements. Because I think it's got to be next of kin. It's either the veteran, next of kin, family member, to request those. When I see something popped up. Oh. Because it's not available online. And also for World War, well, I think World War I, I'm not sure, but World War II, a lot of the documentation, a lot of those service records from, I can't remember. It's the early part of the alphabet through a chunk of the alphabet were burned or severely water damaged in a fire in the 70s. And they're still trying to recover records. Some of the stuff may not be recoverable. So it's a yes, and I hate to say yes and no. For the most part, yes, NARA is the only place where you're going to find the service records. It's the repository for our service records. But, I guess you could say, there are other pathways you might piece together some glean some information pieces from either going to, what was it? Some of the individual service branches have some of their own information repositories that in NARA, and some of the same NARA sets, but you might be able to go into some of the branches if you knew the branch that they served in. Yeah, there might be something. Now, the full record, again, no, but they might have some other records that about the serviceman that might be of interest. And in this case, as an example, here is U.S. Hospital Administration card files for this individual. So it gives service number and apparently having some issues with a knee. And it kind of gives some medical history, a little bit of tease at that. And I happen to know I remember from family stories, he messed up his knees playing football in the 30s, because that was leather helmets, probably barely anything on the shoulder pad, and he had some knee injuries from playing football. So that plagued him during his military service in World War II. And it shows the branch was Air Force, so that was U.S. Army Air Corps, rather than the U.S. Air Force, because that wasn't in existence in 40. When was this? 44? Yeah. So the U.S. Army Air Corps transport bombardment unit. So you know he's attached to some a transporter. I don't know exactly. I can't remember. I know he's a truck driver, but I don't know if that refers to transport/bombardment unit attached to a supply company or truck unit trucking supplies for a bombardment wing, or if that transport just meant they flew transport aircraft in bombardment. That I don't know. Because I saw this the other day when I was looking at this, because I just now discovered this myself, playing around with this, and I'm like, aha! So there are some interesting other pieces of information. You might have to come at it, multiple ways and be creative. Let me go in here and talk about war stories. This is in a beta. And war stories, right now, it looks like they've got Civil War battles and Civil War regiments. And this has got a variety of things. You could search and see if there's a family member or somebody that you knew a family member might have been in contact with, or a unit, or during a battle, and might find something interesting. You're no telling what you're going to find with this, because it looks like it's still in beta. It's still something new for them. Yeah, let's look at something that I can pronounce. Antietam. So this gives you the overview of the looks like the battle. Oh, cool. So it has the regiments. You have a list of the regiments participating. Let's actually see. Companies, doesn't have anything about companies. Here's some soldiers. They have over 11,000 soldiers represented here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It looks like AC Putnam, Jenkins, Pittman. Interestingly, not alphabetized here. I don't know why. Let's see. Yes, I think so. Let me see if I can hide this so I can get I can't see behind. Whoops. Oh, I lost my page. Oh, I lost my tab behind all this. There we go. Let me go back to the war stories. So you do have a searchable spot there. And I think when I went into the Civil War battles, you can search, add to your search, or you still have some things to kind of narrow it down by. But when you were in the Antietam companies, yes, you can search by company. So you could search by people, records, places, dates. They give a little graph over here. There's 125,000 troops that they have represented here, and 38,000 of the Confederates and 87,000, a little over 87,000 of the Union soldiers. Just some stats of the battle. Oh, that's the battle facts. Sorry, that's not records that they have. That's the battle facts, details of the battle. Sorry. And scroll past that. So now I'm kind of curious. Yeah, noticeable battles, commander. This is like if you're really wanting to do a deep dive in some things, and they got a commander list. And these are linked: corporal, captain, first lieutenant. That's cool. Let's look and see what first lieutenant's got. Yeah, like I said, this is interesting, but I'm not sure how extensively useful that might be, because that's, like I said, that's a new feature. It's in the beta. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A family story, or you should be able to. Yeah, and for those of you online, the question was looking for a family member that was in reportedly in the Battle of Vicksburg. See if it was there. You could do into the Civil War thing. There's a lot of the publication you could find the casualty list. You should be able to go to the battle, or find a was it Confederate or Union Confederate, and find maybe possibly a casualty list, because I do remember seeing some of those in there. So you might get lucky and find that existing document that might. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're still working and building the Civil War records. The Confederate records are more heavily represented as far as being complete, because like I said, they were in one location and digitized and all that fun stuff. When I was just playing around exploring, I had found some discharge, all the discharge papers where prisoner of war into the Civil War. They surrendered in New Orleans, and then it showed where they dispersed and when they were mustered out, and it was showing where they were mustered out and the date, where they live, which parish, which happened to look at some. It was in Louisiana, so I don't think it was a Louisiana unit though. It was oh, what was that? Oh, I forgot the unit. Might have been a Mississippi unit, but it was predominantly Louisiana residents that were surrendered at New Orleans, and then they were mustered out in a couple of different locations. They were in the same unit, but some of them were signed out in Alexandria, central Louisiana, and some were signed out in Monroe, which is northeast Louisiana, kind of adjacent. I forget how many miles. It would be adjacent from Vicksburg, but well into Louisiana. But they were from all over, various parishes around Louisiana. And then one of them, I noticed the privates and the sergeants they just discharged, mustered out. The officer that I found, it was a second lieutenant. You may have read about in history where they had to sign a form stating that they would never take up arms against the Union. And I guess because he was an officer of the unit, Fold3 had that document where he signed the statement saying he would not take up arms, yada, 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 and all that kind of stuff that you read about in the history books. Well, they actually had that. And I thought that was pretty cool. But it didn't have it for the privates and the sergeants and corporals and stuff that I saw, but that officer, the second lieutenant. So apparently they only did that for the officers, perhaps. I've never seen that documented, but it just observationally it seemed that way. So it's pretty interesting. I'm sorry, did I answer the question? Did I cover all the pieces of it? Now, as far as the Texas Mounted Volunteers, oh, that's a good question. Company. Was this Texas Mounted Volunteers? Was that also part of the Mexican War time period? Is that right? Oh, okay. I see. I read up. That's the second. Okay. Yeah, I would start with that. Get back here where I can look. Yeah, I would start with the Indian and Mexican American Wars and see what is there and what is the name. Israel Warren. Let's see. Boren. Is that right? Oh, which? Young's Texas Mounted. I wonder. Oh, that's the. I don't know. It may not be the right one. 3rd Texas Mounted Volunteers. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm giving some unit information off to the side here. Oh, what's the pension number? I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing 13. Yeah, I'm not seeing that one. Now we'll say if it was a Texas resident and a soldier from Texas on something like this, and I'm not seeing it here on this particular list. That doesn't mean it's not existing. It's just either is not scanned in, and they hadn't gotten there yet, or might need to spend some time playing around and seeing, maybe do the broad search and then start narrowing it down from there. But if an alternate thing to the Fold3, I hate this, since the Fold3 class, I want to say, yeah, go to Fold3, but there might be an alternate through the Texas General Land Office. If that individual, your ancestor, had also served during the Civil War and had served for Texas and the Confederacy during the Civil War, and ultimately then served in the Mexican-American War, perhaps, maybe there might be some pension records or a pension claim for a land grant with the state of Texas, and the Texas General Land Office has an amazing collection of things that you might be surprised. They have letters and diaries and things of people, because when either the veterans or their families claimed on their land grant information, they would have to file with the state to get that, and they would have to prove it, and they would send those letters or those diaries saying, yes, my husband or my son, some proofs, served for the Texas Republic or for Texas during the Civil War, because they didn't have money at either time. So they offered land grants for that. So sometimes you might find something like that. So that's another alternate source. I would dig some more through Fold3. And then, yeah, the Texas General Land Office might have some information. You might get lucky. And I think some of their stuff is online, at least the indexes for some things, so you could explore. It's been a while since I played around with their site. They've kind of rearranged their site a little bit from the last few years when I had played around with it. So I'm a little rusty. So I might have to just do a deep dive. And they're really good about helping if you want to. You can shoot them an email or give a call or something. And there's one other thing let me talk about in our remaining few minutes here. This memorials. You've got a U.S. memorial wall, or honor wall, excuse me, U.S. honor wall, Vietnam, U.S. Arizona memorial. This is really cool. And then you can search and honor a veteran. It's neat to search. This is one of the things with the library edition you're not going to be able to contribute to and participate to unless you have your own subscription, an individual membership subscription. But this is kind of something neat to honor the veterans, and I definitely wanted to point this out. You got a lot of different conflicts represented here, so it's kind of cool. Here's someone from World War I, born in 1896. A little bit of their information. If also, don't forget, you've got under this help part of the menu, the final thing, it's got a little bit of information about, and granted, it's a lot of stuff is really set up for helping you as a individual account, not the library account, but it'll give a little bit of information about viewing documents. And if you get stuck on something and forget to, you go up to that little settings thing to find the printing and the downloading. Like I said, if you want to learn a little bit more about the annotation stuff, again, you can't use that with the library's account, but you might find it interesting if you run across something, because you won't be able to save it to your ancestry tree. You would if you were, again, if you had a paid individual account, you could cross-link your research in Fold3 with your ancestry account. And just some general other information. So, are there any other burning questions? I'll point at this. Did y'all notice here, towards the right of the screen, the total records? That's a lot of records. And they still don't have them all scanned. As you see with that widow's pension thing that we looked at, what was it from the Civil War widow's pension? They only had like 20%, 21% or something completed. Yeah. So, all right, thank y'all. And if y'all have any, oops, what happened to it? It went away. I've crashed it again. I'm going to stop crashing stuff. Yes. Yes. we'll have this probably in at least give us a couple of weeks, and they'll have it up posted. Should be posted on our Genealogy Center playlist on our YouTube channel for the Plano Public Library. Mm-hmm. Okay, the question, yep. Yep. So the question, just the troubling research point is to find essentially the list of servicemen in a particular unit for the Battle of Vicksburg. And yeah, I've seen some, again, like I said, they're still working on Civil War stuff. And the Confederacy is better represented. Hopefully you'll be able to find maybe some muster rolls, because I've seen lists of the muster rolls where they have the servicemen with their records. So you should be able to. Mm-hmm. You could maybe search by the unit and try that. But definitely search by the name and just kind of then narrow it down. Start with the Civil War set of records and the Confederate records, and then kind of narrow it down to region and battle, and see. That way you pick up, so you don't narrow it too much with just the siege of Vicksburg or something. You might have something, they might have been more to the beginning and got out, or yeah, it might have been on one of the either end of the, yeah. Yeah. Possible. Okay. Okay. Well, thank y'all. Thank everybody for attending, both online and here. So if you don't mind, please, there's a QR code there for a class survey. Please feel free to fill that online, and I thank y'all. And don't forget, if you have any questions for us, feel free to email the genealogy team at genealogy@plano.gov, and that'll get to the whole team, and we'll somebody might know an answer or be able to point, and then the rest of us can learn from it as well. So that gets to us all. So we hopefully get back to you pretty quick. And thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.